All right, is this thing on? Hey, we have Joe Mulvey, Rich Douek. I'm Tyler James, and this is Wailing Blade Live. What's up, everybody? Joe, where do we leave off? We were just you were sharing what you're drinking today in celebration for a
Yeah,
successful
well, I
Wailing
just said I
Blade.
wanted to drink all, but I'm sorry, Tyler. Right now, I just got an alert that Tyler James has a live broadcast on Facebook right now. So I'm going to switch over and see how this shit goes.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty good. I would go check it
Yeah.
out.
I mean, the guests are a little iffy, but, at
Eh,
the same time. Yeah.
eh.
So, what
Uh,
about you, James? What are you drinking?
Yeah, so this one caught my eye at the local liquor store. It's called a Sense of Normalcy. Is the new special brew just for these troubling times that we're in. All right,
Yeah.
I see we're broadcasting here. We got Todd Matthey in the house. What's up, Todd? Thanks
Hey,
for
Todd.
your support, my friend. And what about you, Rich? You had a dark brown
Yeah,
mead of some sort. What do you got?
I got bourbon, Woodford Reserve. Gonna finish off the bottle tonight, I think. But,
Yeah, if anybody deserves a bottle, it's you, Rich. You've had a heck of a week.
This
yeah,
really is some week. Like, how
it
do you
really is.
plan your
This is like,
IDW series to drop a new number one while the Kickstarter rolls
yeah,
rolls up? I mean, that might be on Tyler. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's all me. No. In case you guys didn't know what we were talking about there, but you probably do. Rich's book "Sea of Sorrows" hit the stands on Wednesday to critical acclaim and really eye-popping order numbers, which is great to hear. And even best is when retailers are telling you it's moving off the shelves, right, Rich?
yeah. I've heard from a couple of stores. Joe was telling me your local store did really well
Mm-hmm.
with it. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier with the reception to it. So you know,
Awesome.
no.
So yeah, so we're gonna get into it and just have a conversation here in a minute, and this is gonna be fun. We're gonna give away some prizes, but just to set the context for a little introduction, for the last 31-ish days, we've been running a campaign to fund the graphic novel collection of Wailing Blade. As you can see, we had a massive $30,000 goal, which was our most ambitious graphic novel Kickstarter launch goal ever posted, and it took the full 31 to get there. With about 5 hours left, we broke through the $30,000 mark. There were a couple of pledges that all came in around the same time. Rubber Chicken, Jay Pilara from Rubber Chicken was one of the ones that put a big retailer pledge that really helped pump us over there. But there were a lot of backers that upped their pledges, that grabbed some original art, that just did an amazing job today. Today's a really big day to get us there. I wanted to just share with you guys and share with everyone that's watching, that's in the campaign. We're going to keep things really simple. As you can see, we're closing in on 500 backers. We obviously don't have a lot of time on the clock with under 2 hours to go, but we are going to add 4 more pages of content for the book for every extra $1,000 that we raise above goal. So we're like 49. We're one hardcover away from adding 4 more pages of content. We tried to keep it streamlined and do just what we needed to make an awesome project for the hardcover for what we were funding with a 30K, but we do have some extra content that we can add. We have more stories, we have more art, and so it's just going to be awesome. Joe, what are you teasing? What are you teasing for us over here?
Extra pages of content. I believe in show don't tell. I mean, you were doing a little yappy, and I was trying to get the people to look over on my thing because you know what? Rich Douek is a hell of a writer. He's an awful human being, but he's a hell of a writer. And he has written some really cool new characters into this book. So right here, I'm going to give a little tease. Those are the backs of 2 new executioners that you're going to be checking out. And then there's a big group of, I'm not going to do it. Nope, not going to do it. Not yet.
Yeah.
You got to get the book.
Hey, you got to get a couple more drinks than Joe, and
couple more. Yep.
A couple more.
Well, I'm drinking wine, okay? I'm not like you classless people. I'm trying to make this a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, you got your snifter out and all that.
I got everything.
You got your ice cubes in your wine there, Joe? Or
I do have ice cubes in my wine. What I like to do is a lot of people swirl it in their mouth. What I like to do is drink the wine and then shake my belly.
there you
That's
go.
what I like to do.
Oh yeah, we gotta give a shout out to DB Andre. He's in the chat, man. Contributed a story to Legends of the Blade. What's up, Dave? Thank you so much.
And let's also give David, to anyone who's going to listen to this, his proper credit by saying that Resonant is like one of the best books coming out. It's going to be coming out issue 6 very soon. And if you've not read his series Resonant, you are missing out.
It's good
It is
stuff.
very good. I am highly excited for his continuation of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats on finding. What are we finding? I mean, really, you're a writer.
Oh, funding.
You're a writer.
Funding that is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why even the best writers have editors and work with editors, right?
Sure.
Catch those things. I want to say hi to Jose. What's up, Jose?
Yeah.
Thanks
What's up,
again for the
Jose?
congrats. Fifth Dream watching us over on YouTube. Thank you. Big Tim Styles. Epic Battle, you guys did good, well deserved. Thanks. And Tim has a cool project on Kickstarter for sort of expanding the Gorilla of My Dreams universe.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Is that not like the best title?
That's awesome.
I was just like, I'm gonna go on Kickstarter right after this and check it out because Gorilla of My Dreams is amazing.
Yeah.
Bob France in the house. What's up, Bob?
Hey, Bob. Yeah, Metal Shark. Another great project.
It is.
So another thing that we're going to be teeing up is we've got to reveal the last weapon, the name of the last weapon, and I'm a little behind. Had to put my boy to bed a little while ago, so even though it seems like Kickstarter can be a full-time job, apparently that's not a good enough excuse to give your wife when you're launching it. You can't just drop all responsibilities. So we did a backer bonus game, and so that I'll actually say that there's still some time to put this in. I want to call this out. We'll tease this up, and maybe we'll pull it at 10:30 or so. But what we did, and we've been doing this all campaign long to have fun with backers and fill up the space that is a campaign. We introduced one of the new weapons that one of the executioners wields. Rich, just a little context. 7 executioners in this world, and how does that whole fill in for those that haven't read the Wailing Blade yet? Just without spoiling too much, just
Sure,
set a little fantasy context for us.
All right. So basically, like the world of Wailing Blade is it's like a feudal society. There's not a lot of there's no mass transit. There's no airplanes or things like that for most people. So the wheels of justice tend to move kind of slowly. So what you got is you have this like huge region that's the Empire of Minturn, and it's divided up by into 7 regions that each of these executioners kind of does like a little trip, like a yearly trip around to all the different towns and cities. And when there's someone to get executed, that's like basically when they do it. And they all have their own signature weapon, their own signature style. There's some that do it one at a time. There's some that do it, kind of like mass executions. Don't want to spoil too much, but I basically got the idea from, we're familiar now with like circuit courts, but like the way circuit courts got their name it was basically like in the Old West. That's what judges would do. There was only certain amount of judges with authority, and they could only be in one place at one time. So they would travel from town to town and hear all the cases for that town, and that was like their circuit. So that's kind of what was like the inspiration for the way the executioners work, was just these like sort of like traveling around and in the story, when like let's say a city has an urgent matter, they can kind of send up a beacon to summon one of the executioners, and that's what that big, I forget what page it's on in issue 1, but there's like kind of like a big beam of light that goes up, and you can see the head taker symbol in the sky. It's kind of like a bat signal of, you have to get over here and murder somebody.
Yeah, and I loved, like, you made the map for the world of Wailing Blade, the land of Minturn, and just the map is carved up into different areas for the different executioners, and it's just like, wow, the story possibilities are kind of endless there. So one of the things that we said that we have teased that we're doing is in the final scene, we introduced 2 new executioners. One is the Breath Stealer, the other is the Hide Flayer, and this is the weapon designed by Joe Mulvey that the Breath Stealer uses for her executions. So the head taker, who has the titular Wailing Blade, but and I just wanted to say titular, but the Breath Stealer has this weapon. Joe, what were you sort of going with on this design? What was your thinking behind it?
Well, so to anyone that's read this series already, if you haven't, this will not be too much of a spoiler, but the way Rich and I spoke about the weapons is that every weapon has more than one use. So the Wailing Blade looks like a sword. The rack hammer looks like a hammer. The whip looks like a whip. But when they're in action and they're used by their bearers, they can do different things. So like in the next series, like the way I designed everything is to have different uses. So to me, I was very much in the mindset of like Mad Max, being very steampunky, but also being something that like you didn't see coming. And this looks so sleek and almost calm for the Wailing Blade world. But what this thing does when it's in action is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen. It's going to make Indiana Jones' whip look a little limp. Is what I'm going to say.
So what we decided to do the other day was we showed the weapon, but we didn't tell you what it's called. But we gave you 4 options to play with, and we asked our backers to go and vote on which one that they thought it is. These are the 4 choices: the Cisco's thong, the Terminus switch, the Flageolet strap, or the gallows cord. And if you have backed, you haven't put your name in, we're going to pull a winner in about 15 minutes. So if you haven't, if you were one of the, hey, we just added 4 more pages to the book, guys. Whoever put us over the top, someone just grabbed another hardcover. I should probably make sense to tell people where they can get this awesome book if they want. You can go over to comixtribe.com/Wailing Blade and help us unlock some more pages. But we're closing in on 500 backers, which is absolutely awesome. Can I ask
the question? Who has the record for ComixTribe? Is it she and Ryan Lindsay?
So this is now the most funded ComixTribe graphic novel project. Sea of Cthulhu has done some pretty insane launches, but for the other toy brand, but right. That's a monster. But I think she set a backer total record. I think Sync has the funding record, or Sync had the funding record, but now Wailing Blade has grabbed that torch. But she had close to 700 backers, which it was weird. Like, this campaign was interesting. We went back to a full length sort of 31 day campaign after cutting shorter the number of days. I kind of wanted to see what would happen if we expanded it, knowing a bigger goal, knowing it would take a while. But things really slowed down, like, and hit the brakes with election day, man. That was like, and I know that there were a lot of creators with projects that were live on Kickstarter that, felt like the election day, like, just sucked all the all the collective gasp of everything. And I'll be honest, last thing on my mind was promoting Kickstarter during that all of that stuff. We won't go into politics or anything, but it's 30 days is you forget how long 30 days can be.
I don't mean to be very bad news, but we dipped under 31,000. So now those 4 pages are gone. So
somebody's a spoiler.
As we speak.
Yeah.
It's like counting. I hope we're not gonna have like a ballot counting thing going on here.
Yeah, that'll be good. Now I want the listeners to just understand, if you get into the world of Wailing Blade, Rich has this really massive tapestry of the 7 executioners, but I have fought hard and I have won. That while there's the Bone Breaker and the Hide Flayer and the Head Taker, the final one, the 7th executioner's name is just Ron. That is it. There's nothing else. Just Ron the Executioner.
Ron.
He looks very regular. So it's going to be a little. I can't wait to get to Ron. The chapter about Ron is going to be the most exciting.
Yeah,
he's inspired by Joe. So basically, like he just goes and blows up a bathroom, and
Oh my God! I did promise to people on Twitter and Instagram that I would tell the story of today, hearing in person. This gentleman, I walked into a bathroom. We were in a wine store, and I had a bathroom. And I go into the bathroom, and I swear, and Joy even said this to me. We got out of the car, and we're coming into the house. Joy is my wife, for anyone who doesn't know. We're coming into the house, and this guy is on the phone, and I'm just walking. I'm not doing a damn thing. And he's speaking with some sort of Spanish accent, and he goes, fuck me, no, you're in fuck you, fuck. And Joy's like, everything. I haven't been around you during the daytime. Like, it's not like with the kids. She's like, you're like a magnet. You're a magnet for something to happen. So I go into this liquor store today, and I had to go to the bathroom. Just the number one. And then as I
thanks for clarifying.
Yeah,
because you're a gentleman.
Understand? You walk in. There's a sink. There's a partition with a urinal, and there's a stall. And in the stall, I'm sitting there and I'm going urination, and all I hear is hoo, he. And I'm like, what? And the guy's just, I was like, I don't want to say anything because I've been shamed for, saying things to people in the stall if they yell at me, and I'm trying to say it in a supportive way. And this guy's just going, hoo, he. As I'm in the liquor store with Joy, I go, I can't leave. I got to see who this is coming out. I think I waited for like 10 minutes because I'm like, I have to see this person, but they never came out. So it's always interesting. It's never going to be boring. It's never going to be boring.
I mean, the fact that you didn't engage him, I guess, is that growth? I mean, I remember New York Comic Con one year. There was a guy like you were in the stall and he was in the stall next to you. And I think that, like, a Superman cape was coming under your stall. Was it Thor?
Thor, yeah.
Yeah. And, he was having trouble doing his business.
And I said to him, we're going to get through this Thunder God. And then he just simply, in the most weak, fragile, vulnerable voice you can imagine, said, could you please don't talk to me.
Well, you're just there for support, Joe.
This guy sounded like he was having Lamaze. And I was going to say, just to be nice, do you need some hydration in there? Would you like some water? I don't know, something. He sounded like he was having a rough go. But in my head, I'm like, do I do it? Do I not do it? And then I just came out of the bathroom and I laughed. I was laughing hysterically in the bathroom while I was peeing. So I'm like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So yeah, just for any backers that maybe joined in the last couple hours, if you want to play this game, there's still a little bit of time. I think I said until 9 p.m., but I'm going to be toweling these up in just a minute. What's the name of this weapon? Is it the Cisco's Thong, the Terminus Switch, the Flagellate Strap, or the Gallows Cord? Just go down, leave your best guess in the comments, and we're going to pick a winner in a minute. So that is that. What else is going on, guys? What's the thing about this book that you're most excited about?
I think just the way you're doing the overall presentation of the book. Like, I think the idea for the hardcover is insanely cool. I think the way you're doing it with the sword being the thing that splits the head taker and Tycon, and then to see everyone else's contribution, like if it hasn't been mentioned yet, which it hasn't, the amount of talent that are doing Tales of the Wailing Blade, which is pretty much like the real street level rumors and gossip mill that is the world of Wailing Blade and what they think about all these executioners, and I think that's going to be amazing to see. And I'm like, I'm insanely. I mean, Kenny Porter, huge writer. We have David Pepos, big comics writer. We have David Andrew. We have Michael Avon Oming contributing art to one of those. Like, it's just
You should show that, Tyler. Show them the pinup.
it is an embarrassment of riches.
It's so good.
What you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pull up some of the. I think we can crack open some folders and things. I'm gonna let you folks or you guys talk amongst yourselves while I go set up the big winner here. I got to tally some votes here. So you guys keep the thing moving while I go do some business here.
Yeah.
I see Shaheem. Shaheem is in the chat.
Yeah.
Shaheem is a good guy, and he's a lot of fun to have drinks with.
Yeah. Shane, you got to be careful though, man. I saw that Mr. Dig picture you took with the axe, and just don't get arrested or anything, man. We need you. We need you here.
Oh, I missed it.
All right.
I got to go back and look. Where was it? Like on Instagram or?
No, it was a while ago. It was on Instagram, but it was an awesome picture. But I was just worried. I was like,
yeah, we got to up the ComixTribe liability for cosplayers getting into trouble. But speaking of Mr. Dig, there's some big stuff. John Lee has just dropped off some new scripts and for Sync, and oh my goodness, volume 3 is going to be sick.
That's one of the perks of being friends with John is I get to read a lot of his scripts beforehand, and I can tell you without a doubt they just keep getting better. Sync next volume of Sync is going to be insane. It's going to be, you guys are really going to love it. But yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that I was really excited about, just kind of getting back to Wailing Blade, was like, I hadn't written anything for it since last year. Finished the script for number 4, and then kind of put it aside. But then when we were getting into writing the coda pages, and then thinking about Legends of the Blade and stuff like that, it was an opportunity to dive back into the world and get reacquainted with it, and it is just really exciting. Like even just like putting the book together just made me really want to start working on like the next volume and doing more, because I love this world. It's they when they ask people like, what's your advice for creators, one of the things that you often hear is you make the books you want to see. And this is like everything I want to see in a book. This is like, every science fiction thing that I love from teenage years up until now. Like there's a piece of it in Wailing Blade, and it's like I said it a couple of times, like that I've written a lot of books, but there's only one that I actually love enough to put a tattoo of it on my body. That's the Wailing Blade. Like, let me see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's no joke. I think that was actually a Kickstarter. We had a Kickstarter stretch goal for issue 1 way back when. It was like we hit a certain thing. Rich will tattoo and take around his body.
It was like, I think we were like, the stretch goal was like for temporary tattoos, and I was like, if we get those temporary tattoos.
Look at that handsome man.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I just see him just come right in. I'm like, wow.
I didn't know I was coming in. I was just hanging out watching you guys chat.
Music. Like all of a sudden, it's like just shouting your ass.
Get my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my StreamYard skills aren't queued up enough to have entrance music, right?
You
But
got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, the steel chair.
David Andrew, it is a pleasure. It is a
Yeah.
pleasure to have you on the show.
Cheers, man.
Joe and Rich and Tyler, it's a pleasure to hang out with you guys for a second or two.
Absolutely, man. Thank you
Yeah.
for dropping in and contributing to the book. I think your story is gonna, I think organizationally is gonna kick off the Legends volume.
Mhm.
So
Nice. That was
excited about that.
yeah, that was a ton of fun to do. I was really really proud of this story that I did, and the pinup that goes with it is just so good. So yeah.
There's so many pinups that accompany the stories, and they're just so good. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking about this with a retailer, and I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, because it's like, that is something the ComixTribe does really well, where they package the story, but then so you have extra content, they give you a little something extra, so it makes you want to own the trade, makes you want to own, like almost like it's its own new thing. And I'm like, man, the sick amount of talent that contributed stories, that contributed art, that made the package even better is inspiring.
Yeah, I really thought this thing would fund in like 5 seconds when it went live, and like the more, I think people are really gonna be upset they don't have it, because there's so much cool like extra stuff in here. I mean, I have the issues, and I officially retired from Kickstarter like 2 years ago, because I had too many like disappointing Kickstarters that I funded. I'm like, I paid $20 for this 3 years later, and this is terrible. But Wailing Blade kind of brought me back, so I'm like, damn it, I gotta kickstart this thing.
when I got the Rob Liefeld Kickstarter reward after 7 years, I'm like, maybe 2020 is turning around.
Yeah.
I just showed up one day. But
the one, I had one that broke my back when the book, like 4 years later, finally got shipped. There was postage due. And I'm like, you know what? Take it back. I'm not paying the $3 extra for this postage for something that I forgot I funded like 3 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, like one thing, like if there's anybody with like a good track record on Kickstarter, it's Mr. Tyler James, who got it down to a science. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of the coolest things about like the comics category is just that, like, if you compare comics to any other category, like it's like every other category is flat or like has kind of decreased a little bit in terms of the success rate, like how well those projects do. And I think a big part of that is because every year it's new people coming in. It's mostly new people coming in, and there's not nearly the amount of sort of repeat backers. And I think Kickstarter really is a platform where if you treat it right and treat your backers right, you can keep going back to it, and it actually builds, like one launch builds upon another, and I mean, we have backers in here. Some of you guys can probably know how many ComixTribe campaigns you've backed, but we have backers that came back from the very first one we ran in 2012 for this launch, and it's amazing. It's amazing that it's a platform that allows you to do that. And then on the creative side, I was also thinking about, like, how many people that are involved in the anthology that were still did work with us early on in 2012. It's like the tribe just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we bring in new people like David, and we bring in add new creators. But you guys, you were both a part of the first Kickstarter that I ever ran, which was the Oxymoron anthology. I have it kicking over here somewhere. Probably have it kicking over here somewhere. And so it's been great. I love doing these collections. I love building my my library of ComixTribe trades. It's just a couple of them over here.
I'm just gonna say this, so it's on record. If this is gonna even be a record, I will not be carrying any cases of hardcovers to any convention ever.
You're retiring? The back is retiring from that?
No, I feel better than ever. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I just know that when I go to conventions, all of a sudden I'm like, why the fuck do we have so many hardcovers as you're carrying it in? But then you're like, oh, when you sell them, you don't feel bad.
Yeah.
The goal is that like you want to come in with heavy boxes and leave with
Nothing.
much lighter ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better than when you're at a convention and you have like 12 boxes and you have to keep them because there's a slight chance you're not going to sell everything. So those boxes have to stay. But then as stuff moves off the table and you start selling out, suddenly you start throwing away the boxes and you don't care as much. Matt Solomon?
We were just singing Matt's praises.
Yeah.
David was just singing your praises, Matt, for the pinup.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
It's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an easy pinup to do. Reading your story, David, it was awesome.
Yeah, if you want to carry hardcovers, I started my comics career volunteering for Skybound,
I know.
and we did hardcover compendiums of The Walking Dead, and probably hand carried those into the New York Comic Con Convention Center, up the escalator that was not functioning, from a van. Probably 50 boxes myself. So, yeah.
No, I mean, like you want to talk about like trying to like leave light. I think it was New York Comic Con. It was either like the first or second year I had gone, but I went up to Jason Aaron's table with like a trade of Scalped Volume 1, and it was Sunday. So he's like signing it, and I'm just like, yeah, man, I really enjoyed this. And he's like, have you read the rest of it? And I was like, no, I'm planning to because I really like this one. He gave me all of them. He's just like, here, I'm gonna sign them. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. He's like, I just don't want to fly back with them. I have like so much. So I was like, I'm not gonna argue so much.
Yeah. As someone who's worked over 10 years of cons for Skybound, if you want to buy something heavy on a Sunday, I will sell it to you at like 75% off. Get that thing out of here. I don't want to lift it. I've probably moved that one box 6 times personally, and I never want to touch it again. So yeah, Sunday afternoons, if you want to buy heavy stuff, I would be the person to go to.
Tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Absolutely.
Next time I see you, Dave.
Yeah, the heavier, the cheaper, man. Let me tell you. You buy a comic, you buy a single comic, I'm charging you double. You buy a hardcover, it's like $2.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
guys, I had to mute because I was getting some added beverage. I didn't move. Like,
You sure you weren't just gassy, Joe? Like,
I wouldn't have muted that. Why would I?
Yeah.
That's live chat gold. Now
That's
let
what-
me say this. So David said he got to start working Skybound tables. There's only one person. Rich and I had a prop sword of the actual Wailing Blade made up that we brought around to signings and conventions. There's only
Big clutch.
one person who
Mm-hmm.
held it with one hand and raised it high above his arm, and that was Mr. Sean Big Clutch Kirkham. He lifted this thing up, and all I can tell you is that New York Comic Con was it 2019 or 2018?
it was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
At that time, when he
There it
lifted
is.
that sword up, Rich and I were like, if he drops that, several people are dead around him. Like, it's packed. The aisles of New York Comic Con are packed with people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this Wonder Woman in a diaper is going to get killed if this
Oh.
thing falls down on her head. But he didn't. He was like, no, it's light.
Let me tell you the story of this sword because it was my job to find the person to make it. So I was talking to a lot of people on Etsy, like people that made props for cosplayers. So I found the dude that made it, and he like when he would make props for cosplayers, they're made out of like foam, because you've got to carry it around all day. So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, well, like we want to bring it around to a lot of conventions, and we want people to be able to take photos with it. It's going to be handled a lot. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you're making it, that maybe like think of ways you can make it like a little bit sturdier than your standard cosplay prop, because it's not just going to be for show. So he's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, I'm going to use wood. And when he said that, I thought he meant he was going to use the foam and then like reinforce it with wood to make it, you know, a little bit more sturdy. This thing comes in the mail, you know, UPS or whatever, and it's solid freaking wood. It weighs a ton. You can barely get your hands around like it because it's just so big because the guy built it to scale, which we asked him to do. But it's like if you've ever held this thing, you'll understand why it's such an achievement that Sean lifted it clean over his head, like with one hand, because it was just the funniest fucking thing. I brought it in. I was actually worried about bringing it into New York Comic Con the first year. I'm like, Tyler, you gotta like meet me at the front because I feel like they're gonna try to stop me.
Yeah, did you have to take that on the subway too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you shipped it.
It came apart, so I have like in a big box, but it was just like.
But like New York Comic Con weekend is the one weekend of the year where, you know,
yeah, you're not gonna get that many.
no one's gonna be.
But I was just like,
okay.
I really thought they were gonna be like, no, you can't bring it in because this thing is that heavy. Like it could kill somebody. Like.
So does that mean it only goes to local conventions then? I mean, what's the shipping cost for that thing?
Oh well, we took it to Baltimore from New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
We hopped the train. We got down there. We showed it around. People were pretty cool with it. Like the thing is, it's a dangerous shape. So number one, it's heavy, and like all these people are lining up, and they're not ready. And I tell everyone, I'm like, you gotta be ready for the weight. The weight of this thing is no joke. Like, and they're like, is it real? Is it like really a blade? I think a bunch of times I lied. I was like, yeah. I was like, don't touch the button. The button will do something, you know. But like, it went with us to a bunch of conventions, and it went with us to
stores. Yeah, like,
yeah.
Basically, I got like one of those big, like an army surplus duffel bag, like the kind of thing that you can like stuff an entire cot into if you need to, and that was how we carried it around. But yeah,
Which makes it look less suspicious when you're going around with a big green duffel bag. It looks like it's dragging a body. Nothing wrong about that.
Yeah, man, that prop was impressive.
Now, Matt, is this? Are you hopping on here to tell us that you're coming back to comics full time because you're an awesome artist and you're going to do another book with Tyler? Is this going to happen? Is this the?
I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
All right.
Matt's got the itch. He's not ready to drop publicly anything, but he's got something he's about to keep rocking. He showed me a little teaser, and you know, the world needs more Matt Zollman comics. Longtime ComixTribe fans know Matt as the co-creator of Epic, and we would love to see more Matt Zollman work. So we get him when we can with the pinups and things like that. But definitely want to see more comics from you, my man.
Yeah, the pinup work is always the fun stuff, right? Like when you hit me up, it's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, sure, of course I want to do this. That was easy, right? And then you read David's story, and it was like I knew immediately what I wanted to do with mine, and just chopped through it pretty quickly. The larger investment stuff always gets me still with everything I got going on in my life with the kids and the work and stuff like that. So, but someday I'm going to get back to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you see it with a book like Wailing Blade, like, once the like creating the world and the momentum is the biggest thing. The time between when you guys first said, okay, we're going to do this, and then that first issue, like that was the longest period of time. Like issues 2, 3, 4, Joe was just able to knock them out. But so many characters, so much world building.
There's a lot of design work. Like Joe had to design everything from the weapons to the costumes to the cities, blades of grass.
So can we talk about that a little bit here now? Can we say these character designs are probably the most insane thing ever created on comics?
Literally, that's the best thing when so many artists I sent stuff to, like especially the people who are doing variants and stuff like that, they were like, you're out of your fucking mind. I don't ever want to draw that. I don't ever want to draw that sword again. I don't ever want to draw that whatever. But then everyone that did pinups, like I reached out to a bunch of people, that no one was like, it's crazy anymore because it's distinct. It stands out. Like
Well,
I
that's-
remember like talking with Rich and talking with Soto during the entire development of it, and I just kept saying I want everything to be unique, different, unique. So I mean, like Tyler made fun of me. He called my trees nipple trees, but the trees all have like the bark is like kind of like gnarled and turned into these points, and like the trees corkscrew up from the earth because the earth's been scorched, so it has to the roots have to push up and break through, so it causes them to be all gnarly and stuff. And I don't know, like I just feel like I was even saying at the time, I'm like I feel like we could do the whole second arc now, and now I have an idea of like what I want to do. But yeah, that first issue took a while.
Yeah, it was so like never mind the world, the environment, the cities. Just talk about the head taker, right? Like I remember when I first laid eyes on this, it was like, all right, we got fur, we got a little bit of a cape, we've got metal, we've got chains, we've got straps. I'm like, what the hell else is there left to do? Like this is Liefeld level of character design, and I say that with as much love as possible.
Yeah, dude. Listen to me. I was raised of that early Image ilk. Like I think that one of the first comics I picked up was a Spawn comic, and I was like, "What is this?" You know, and it's like a cape everywhere, and I'm very much of the idea of like hit the reader over the head visually, and then there's some words in there, but like let it be that you know what this is. You know the sword by the time you see it. I think like I could be wrong, so I apologize if I'm misquoting it, but I remember like I think Justin Jordan said like that's the craziest sword I've ever seen. And I just remember like looking when we were talking about it and we were designing the sword, and I'm like, all these swords are just straight. They go up straight, and it does nothing. I'm like, but what if it was tilted? Almost like a sickle, right? You're supposed to take the head off. I'm like, and then once I had that idea, I'm like, there's no other sword that does that. There's none. There's no sword that has a handle, and then the handle has the sword go, 70 degrees off to a different direction. I'm like, that's at least different. And then when I got Rich and Tyler to be like, oh, that's cool, I was like, okay, we're onto something.
Yeah, I always worry about the scale and the sizing, proportion of that piece, right, of that weaponry. Like even in my pinup when I was doing it, I'm like, do I have the proportion right on this? I don't think I did. Like I was like, yeah, it's a little small, but I just like the weight, the feel of it, and the fact that it wails. I mean, that's just it has me intrigued left and right all the way through. So well done.
Well,
and Joe, traditionally, like you're not a big fantasy guy, so you were kind of you were kind of coming at this with fresh eyes and just a fresh approach.
I don't like stuff in space. I don't like I never did. And then I think through that project, I learned that what it was I had seen a lot of stuff that was regurgitation of the more popular stuff. So like I had seen a bunch of stuff that was a knockoff of Aliens. I had seen a bunch of stuff that was a knockoff of Star Wars. And then when I got down to seeing like the real, Rich gave me like a list of movies and books and art that he thought was like, essential to the backbone of what Wailing Blade was. Then I got a much better appreciation for it. And I still think The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie, or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think,
but Stone Cold music. Now that's on you, Andrew. That's on you. That's on you.
All right, we're gonna give away a prize here. Let me just get this going here.
Dinner with David Andre. Spin the wheel.
That's a punishment.
You didn't know, Dave? You didn't. Here we go. All right, so the Breath Stealer is the fourth executioner, and these are 5 choices that we gave our fans. I didn't even bother to do the percentages because just about everybody got the correct answer, which is the Gallows Cord. Obviously, Rich is better at coming up with fantasy names than I am because I came up with the 3 for this one, whereas Rich came up with the names for all the other ones and wasn't fooling anybody. But the Gallows Cord, Rich, what do you want to say about that name? Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, her name's the Breath Stealer. One of the ideas I had with the different executioners was that each one would have a signature style. So, the head taker beheads people. The bone breaker basically like breaks everybody's bones bit by bit. The hide flayer it's sort of what was inspired by Death of a Thousand Cuts, and the breath stealer is hanging. So I was, thinking of like a weapon that could kind of double as something you can hang somebody with. The whip was just natural, so natural fit. So that's how we got there. Yeah, I just thought the gallows cord was just cool sounding name. And like like Joe was saying, I think there's like a lot of interesting things that this weapon can do that go beyond what a whip could do. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun bringing it into the story.
Yeah, it'll be good to see that in action. So we had 26 of our backers name it correctly. Everyone from Alberto Gonzalez Jr. all the way to Travis S. and everyone in between. I'm going to shuffle these up 3 times here. And you guys ready to spin the wheel? Here we go.
Yeah.
And so the winner of this is going to get that original sketch of the gallows cord. Hey, it's our main man. It's our main man, Heath Wofield. It's always good to see Heath win, because Heath's one of our all-time biggest supporters. He's actually appeared in multiple ComixTribe comics. I think he's been in 2 different versions, or he's been in Sync twice. Once as a clown and once as a dickhead. And so it's awesome that Heath is going to get hooked up with that. Congratulations, Heath.
Congrats, man. Thank you for backing the book.
Absolutely. And Heath actually chose one of the premium pledges where you guys are going to work with Heath and make him into an executioner in the style of the Wailing Blade. And so that's going to be a cool little project to do there.
Yeah, you know what I want to do before we go any further? I just want to just give a big thank you and just like acknowledge what our other 2 members of the creative team, Chris Sotomayor and Taylor Esposito, both brought their A game to this book, made it helped make it like a beautiful, unique thing. Those 2 guys are, as far as I'm concerned, they're like legends. Like both of them have worked on so many different books, both in the indie world and in the Marvel and DC world. It's like, you can't name your favorite DC or Marvel book, and I guarantee you Soto has colored at least a cover for it, and just to have them be part of this project and bring their level of talent to it, it was just an amazing thing. So, before we go any further with tonight's festivities, I just wanted to give a big shout out to them, because they're, is vital.
Yeah. Joe, thoughts on, we know how much you sing Chris's praises on a regular basis. He's your, he's the apple of your eye there, huh?
Yeah, there's no way to say anything about because
the butch to your Sundance.
So anyone who's watching and is complimentary about anything I draw, I appreciate it very much. I have this thing inside me that I hate everything the second I'm done drawing it, and then like I'll give it to Soto, and I'll look, and Soto will show me other stuff he does, like other works for other publishers. So I'll like look at my phone and be like, oh, that's a sick, Bernard Chang Batman, or that's a crazy Rick Leonardi, whatever. And I'm looking at something, and he makes me forget my own work for a second. So I look at something, I'm like, that's dope. Oh, I drew that. Oh my God. Like, and I'm super excited by it, because I'm like, you make me forget what like the shortcomings of my lines. He picks up for it. But yeah, Chris,
have you ever told him that you complete him, or he completes you?
I have. Every 3rd Friday of the month, I go out to his house in Long Island. I'm in Queens, and I sit out there with the big Say Anything boombox outside his window, and I sing my praises to him. His wife has several restraining orders that I don't listen to, and we have good times.
New York is lawless nowadays. You don't have to worry about that, right?
No, you can do whatever you want.
Hey, another special guest, also Also featured in the Legends of the Wailing Blade, Russell Nolte. What's up, Russell?
Hey, I'm on the air. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone.
Infamous Russell Nolte.
That's right.
Infamous.
I wish we had a couch to invite everyone to, but no couch.
This is kind of like its own couch, though.
Yeah, you bring your BYOC.
We need like a
Envy.
band leader too, like Joe, like play like some music or something. When you're bringing your guest on.
Russell, your story was awesome. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'll be honest. I knew how amazing the first issue looked, but reading it once Tyler asked me to be part of it, like I honestly couldn't believe how many times I said I know exactly where this is going, and then was like, oh no, absolutely, like took a 180 turn from everything that I thought, and. Once it happens, like 3 times in a book, I'm like, okay, this has got to be like, this is like an instant classic book, and I felt like I understood who the executioner was, like 4 times in that book, and every time it was absolutely different than what I thought. And I read a lot of comics and a lot of books, and I can say that for you to be able to do that to someone like me, who's bitter and jaded, is pretty amazing. So being able to contribute to this book was just an incredible honor. And thank you guys for doing it. I was quite nervous when I sent the story in to Tyler, whether he would approve it or not.
Yeah, it was those sort of twists were in the very, very lean original pitch that Rich sent to me, which was like a 1-page doc, couple paragraphs at most. But I'm like, I want to see all of these things. I want to see all of these things execute, because like when I get a little bit of a goosebumps just reading it on a script form, or in the sparsest of language, knowing what then happens when you put it in the hands of a capable storytellers like Joe and with the script to match, like it all hits. So so many times, like that stuff, like it was there early on, and the guys delivered it on it all throughout, and so it's glad to hear that it resonated with you, Russell. Russell does a thing which I think is a great like approach, especially for younger creators that are like out there, they're hungry, they want to do. Like Russell said a while ago that like he made a commitment to himself that if anyone asked him to contribute to an anthology, he would find a way to say yes. And so obviously you're in demand. You've got a ton of projects. I mean, you've been more productive this year, I think, than any year, and every year you're super productive. But thanks for saying yes to this one too, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's so important when you're at kind of any part in your career, if you can say yes to something, especially if it's something. So I've stepped back slightly because I don't say yes to just anything. But if it's something with a editor or a publisher or a creative team that I believe in, I will always try to say yes to that, because there are a very few amount of people and a very few amount of comics that can light you up, that like actually when you read it, or a book or a novel or whatever it is that actually lights you up. For the most part, like they're nice, they're well put together, but they're not something that you go, holy crap, like I have to be involved in this if I can. And I think that as you go through your career, you learn more and more and more that books like Wailing Blade are few and far between. They are lightning in a bottle, and you have to take advantage of that. And part of the joy of being at the level that I'm at, or being able to be in demand to whatever level that I am, is that people who make amazing projects, that people who consistently, I mean, like Joe, Rich, I'm sorry, I don't know that many of your projects, but I know a lot of Joe's projects and a lot of Tyler's projects. That those people who keep putting out great work again and again and again and again, they are so few as to be non-existent. And once you find that once someone asks you to be part of that world, or you have an in with those people, like those are the people you bend over backwards for. Not only because like you want to be involved in that project, but you also know that they will do right by you at the end as well.
Well, let me just say this while Russell's being very kind in those regards. I've tabled across from Russell. He's the 5-tool player. Not only is he a talented creator, talented writer, he sells like it's like I almost was going to be like, look, Russell, if you could sell my car while you're there selling the book, I'd appreciate it. He is a machine. Like I'm not even joking, Russell. To your credit, I think that's what you have to be like to be a next level creator. You have to be someone who's willing to just be your full on advocate and be your own, your own salesperson. And dude, you are an all-star. You have zero problem pumping out great material. You have zero problem being open, honest, and friendly in every situation I've ever met you in. And you have zero problem quick selling and quick pitching the book to anyone that walks by you within like 3 seconds. Dude, you're an all-star.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
And speaking of another all-star, we got Travis Heimel in the house. What's up, Travis?
Hey, what's up, guys? Congrats. There's a guy funded.
Is it Heimel or Himmel?
It's Heimel.
Heimel, yeah.
We
all we're over 2 over here.
I'll be honest. I did a YouTube video and I mentioned Rich, and I was trying to say your last name, Rich, and I was like, oh man, I am just butchering his freaking last name.
Can I tell you how it's pronounced? It's pronounced Douek. That's how you pronounce it.
The K is non-existent.
You can't say the K.
I recently discovered like an easy trick for people to pronounce it the way that I do, and it only took me like 20 years to figure this out. But just pretend the O isn't there. So if it was D-U-E-K, you'd say Douek. There you go. So
now you're adding too many complicated rules. Too many rules.
I've heard them all, so
I'm just going to say this. Even though it's Rich's name, ignore what he said. Just go with mine. I think that's a better way to go. Just Douek.
Douek.
In fairness, you could also say that U is not there.
That's true.
Yeah. How about you just stop everything and just go by the name Richie D? I think Richie D sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Sounds very neighborhoody. Like you're part of a sitcom. Now, just to tell you the piece of garbage person I am, I started a rumor at my kid's school, and this is a horrible thing. I started a rumor that a woman whose name was, and I'll say the name, it's not a problem. Her name is Schubert. It's a very common name or whatever. And I said to one mother, I go, you don't say Schubert, do you? And the mother goes, yeah, that's her name. I go, she's French. It's Schubert. Schubert, right? And I said this like to like 1 or 2 or 3 moms, and it spread like wildfire.
Oh
and all
my
of
God.
a sudden, I see the teacher, and she's like, everyone's calling me Super, and they don't even know what it is. And I'm dying. I'm like, that's all me. I apologize. I started this rumor. So let's start this with Douek.
You're right.
Richie D is still the better thing. Imagine that if IDW can change your book to Richie D on the cover instead of Douek.
We'll see.
Travis and I have a lot of similarities that we're going to get along because he's right. Richie D sounds like strong. It sounds like,
Oh, you don't have Richie D's pages on time? Well, Richie D ain't liking that.
Yeah. Richie D breaks people's.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you don't want to mess with Richie D's money.
I do.
Mess with the money.
You'd be wearing a pair of concrete shoes and some water soon if you don't get those pages.
Either he's gonna screw you by throwing you in a lake, or he's gonna screw you by screwing you. That's what Richie. Those are the 2 Richie D's.
And if you've met Rich in person, Rich is an imposing force. He's a big, tall, wide guy. He's a teddy bear, but he could look scary.
I like how you tiptoed around there. You're like, he's a big, wide, and you're like, oh.
No, he is. Dude, I've told the story ad nauseum, but the first time I ever met Rich, we were in a bar in New York City, and someone thought he was the Yankee pitcher David Wells. And Tyler was there, he'll tell you. And there was a bunch of Erica Schultz was there.
And Mulvey can turn that into how many rounds?
And I turned that into about 4 rounds of free drinks. Because someone said to me, is that the World Series pitcher, David Wells? And I said, it is. Oh my God, I'd love to meet him. I'm like, just stay back. I'll get you an autograph. He's in a mood tonight. Send a couple rounds over, loosen him up, and we'll do that. So then I walk over to Rich, who I know for like 2 minutes, and I go, hey, just all these drinks are on me or whatever, but I need you to sign something later. And then later I had him sign a napkin that said, all right, thanks for everything. Be well, or whatever it was. David Wells. And I went over there and handed it over to him.
Yeah,
so eventually I'm going to get punched right in the face because someone spent about, $150 in drinks.
You keep telling this story like this guy is going to hear it someday.
No, he's a massive Wailing Blade backer. He's
Yeah.
Right.
I want to pull up. Let's show some art. I want to show Travis's pinup that he included. Yeah. That's going to be included in the Wailing Blade anthology.
That's amazing.
Travis sent over a couple of different like thumbnails. Like he had a few different options, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "These are all great, man." What? Tell us a little bit about the piece there, Travis.
Well, I wanted to do something different. When I was reading over the prose for it, I mean, it's like the choice is kind of to take something to draw from that. The coolest imagery is the head taker with all the blades and stuff in his back, and I guess I was really hovering between doing something different that I don't normally do, like a top down kind of view. I was going to do something that was going to be more dead on with him walking still with like the bodies around him and everything carrying the heads. But I felt like that's something that we've already seen, for some of the covers that were out already in terms of, a big hulking head taker walking towards the camera. So I just wanted to try something different. And also a lot of different pieces, like for my interior work and like stuff, I try to do different techniques. So like I was using like dry brush because I did this traditionally when I was inking it. So trying out like dry brush and different like screen tones and things like that I don't normally do. So it was just kind of a fun pinup.
Yeah, I think that's another thing from the art side is that what, why not experiment with some new approaches to things, right? And test some things out. Yeah, I mean, we shared this inside the private ComixTribe group, and this was the layout that people were like, yeah, that one's really going to stand out. So you delivered on this one, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and I wanted to do something with the reason I put the word mercy in there, and it was supposed to be like I believe the souls or whatever of the dead were supposed to begging for mercy, and what originally was gonna have like mercy all in the background and stuff of one of the layouts, and I still wanted to kind of include it in there, and that's again something else I haven't really done stuff with text too much. So again, just kind of trying out different things.
Dude, it's phenomenal. The layout of it, the dynamic nature to it, and just that perspective shot is hard as hell to pull off, and you made it sing, man. It looks great.
Thank you. It means a lot coming from you because, I had met you at New York Comic Con last year when when those still existed, and we were talking about it, and I had seen your art beforehand, and I actually went home and read the book. I bought the book, the first issue there, and I was flipping through it that night. And sometimes I get jealous of like artists, like, oh man, look, I mean, this person's so good, and you are good. But not only was I jealous because of that, but I was like, man, he must have had so much fun to draw this, because there's all these different elements. I know you guys. I was listening a little bit earlier talking about like design elements and stuff. There's so much there's so much stuff going on, even for the was it the nipple trees?
Technical term. Yeah.
Technical term.
Yeah, you're probably not a botanist.
Well, like one of the things like that just blew my mind when Joe started turning in art is like Joe, you could have given me like when you were sending the pages back for like the first few, like you could have just drawn trees, like just normal ass trees.
The book would have been out a year earlier, but
I wouldn't have said a word because I would have just been like, okay, yeah, there's trees. It's supposed to be in a forest. There's trees. Like it would have just seemed completely natural to me. Like it wouldn't have even like been on my radar that like, hey, you should put some thought into what these trees look like.
Yeah.
But like it was just, you just went so above and beyond in terms of like the world design and trying to make it look like its own unique thing that nobody's ever seen before. It just blew my mind how much care you put into it, you know.
Yeah, but then I think that care pays off in dividends now. With
Oh,
guys
yeah.
like Travis, people like Russell and Matt, they all look at something and they're like, oh, I want to kind of play in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And because you make it its own thing and you want to draw that. Like, I can't tell you how many, and I said this before earlier in the show, how many people told me to go screw myself by the way I drew. They're like, I drew that. I don't want to draw that again. Like,
Oh, that had nothing to do with your art, Joe.
Ramon Villalobos literally wrote to me when I sent him the first issue, and he's like, you can go screw yourself. He goes, I will never draw that shit. That is like, you're out of your mind, you know? And I'm like, well, to me, that's the fun of it. Cause like Tyler pointed out in the beginning, initially, yeah, it's a slog. It's like, okay, I got to like work. How does this move? How does that move? He's got this huge shoulder thing. And then he's got like a cape, and how does everything make sure they're moving?
Mhm.
But then once you've done it, and like you've done it for an issue or two, then you've created it, and then hopefully other like talented people want to play in that pool and play in that world, and you guys all jumped in. So I say nanny poo poo, it worked.
For me, it was when the next executioner showed up. My thought was always like, what's this outfit gonna look like? What's the next one gonna look like? They all keep stacking on top of each other.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna
It just
show
is
you this,
insane.
right? Because Rich did say I would do this when I had more wine, and I've had more wine. So this is the hide flyer. Or do you
It's
want
the
me to show
vagina trees.
That's what it is. All right, so here we go.
Hold on,
Here's-
I'm gonna highlight Joe. Hold on, Joe. I'm
Yeah, we need
making
full
you
screen
solo
on
act
this.
here.
right there. So this is the new gentleman that we'll be seeing.
That's the world Hide Flare world premiere right here.
World premiere, yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice,
So-
nice.
And just wait
This
till you
is
guys
just the art.
see-
When you see what
wait
Soto
till
did
you
with the
guys
colors,
see how Soto color does.
oh, the colors are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That was one of the pages I saw that I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so good. And then with that, like, I feel like the best thing that I would ever want is like Todd McFarlane to give us a buzz and be like, hey, I want to make toys of those things. Because I do feel like those figures are so toyetic, if that's even a
Yes.
word.
Oh, it's a
that
word.
They would translate to it.
Yeah, man. These are like, you know, if you put them on a shelf next to like He-Man toys or something, they would look, you know, it wouldn't look out of place. Like,
Oh God! If you had He-Man style Wailing Blade toys,
Oh my God. Oh, just rip their arms off. The heads have to come off easy because
Yeah.
that would be part of the game.
yeah,
they
right?
eject off. You just press a button. Poop.
Got to give a big shout out to Jay Burns. He's been making videos and really spreading the word all campaign long. He had faith in us that we were going to get there. I know it took a little bit longer than some of our fans probably would have been like, "Is this book going to happen? Please tell me it's going to happen." But we definitely appreciate Jay.
Can I be honest with you guys? I thought that you guys were already there like 2 days ago. I was like, well, they've already hit it. And then I looked this morning because I'm in the Cthulhu Invades Oz. I'm in that book too. And someone was talking about how you weren't there this point. I was like, no, it's not. That can't possibly be accurate. Like that's.
We had a couple of like massive pledges drop by people that are notorious for doing that. Like
No, not on Kickstarter.
not on Kickstarter. Yeah, like there's one guy that like I looked back and he backed all of our previous Kickstarters, all at a high level. All of the times he dropped, and then did it again. And he also did the same thing to like 4 other creators that that we were in there. So it happens, but
Sorry.
But you're over $31,000, and like this is and 500 backers. Is
That's
that
right. Yeah, we just knock on wood, we just tapped 500.
Woo woo.
If it'll load, come on, load.
It's always when you need it to work, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like that was the thing. Like going into this last day, you know, you're confident. This isn't our first rodeo. We know what our last days usually look like for ComixTribe, but you know, there's always the thought in your head, like, what if Kickstarter servers go down? What if like you run all these scenarios? But thankfully, our folks
because you're never off. You're never over the hill till you're over the hill. You're never like there until you're like actually there. And when you're there, you're like, well, I hope no one backs out now. In fact, when you finally got over the hill, like finally got, I was like, well, they would have to email Kickstarter to like cancel their pledge at this point, and like they probably wouldn't even get that until Monday. So they're all probably good now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. It's I mean, it's a for all the complaining that we do about it. You know, it's hard to believe that Rewind, you know, most of the people like coming up, like, you know, the idea of something like Kickstarter, like if you explain it to me in 2006, 2007, when I was working on, you know, books and trying to like think, like, I'd be like, no way that works.
Don't you ever, do you ever listen to the Dirty Old Ladies podcast? That's Spike Trotman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, she talked about this at the beginning of like what they had to do in like the beginning of webcomics to like have a PayPal button. But then like before PayPal, they just like all of the jerry-rigging they had to do to make Kickstarter exist. And that it has its own ecosystem now. And that comics is, what is that thing? Like we were on, you had your last call, and it was like 75% of comics Kickstarters are successful. Like that is a wild number.
It's an insane number. It's like 15% in tech projects, and like, but it's because we also have the highest number of repeat backers. So like, it's like the pool of Kickstarter backers, you know, is becoming veterans. And then the other thing is like, it's a real community. Like I could probably go through, and there are probably on my shelves over there, I probably have at least 100 books on my shelves from creators that have backed this Kickstarter campaign, because creators comic creators like support other comic creators on Kickstarter. They just do.
Like books too. Like yeah. It's like comic creators or comic fans first. Like they're the most rabid comic fans. Like I'm not the most rabid DC Marvel fan, but like I am a rabid comic fan. Like there's nothing about comics that I don't like, especially indie comics. I was just in the Read Pop had this thing like a meetup group. That's why I was late to this thing, and they were just talking about like, everyone I met in this like meetup group was just like insanely into comics. Like not all Marvel DC stuff, not all like the same stuff. Like I was talking about how I love Zuda's the old Zuda line. And people were like, no one likes that old Zuda line. I was like, it was like my favorite thing. Like I still think of Celadon like at least once a month. I think of that book and how beautiful it was when I finally got it in like hardcover, like and read it in one sitting. And like that's the most beautiful thing about Kickstarter and the whole comics community is like whether you're a fan, because there's a lot of people that like just make stuff and they don't care about the thing they make. And like they're just in it for the money part of it. And comics, nobody that I've ever met that loves comics and does comics is like doesn't love reading comics also. Like doesn't love just the medium on both sides of it. Some of them are only readers, but nobody that I've ever met who's a creator is not also a lover of reading comics as well.
Yeah, and I think
someone asked me recently, why do you do comics? It's like, oh, I hate money. That's what I told them.
Yeah.
It's a passion, and everyone says, like, I mean, artists and writers say that all the time, but it really is.
Forget about a passion; it's almost like a compulsion. Mm-hmm. Like I can't help but see a story in comic form. You know, like I'm watching a movie, and I'm like, okay, or a TV show. I'm like, okay, here's how this scene in The Blacklist would end on a page turn, and it would be, like I just have this breakdown in my head of seeing it that way.
I was just thinking about how beautiful. Like last night, we were watching the last episode of Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, how beautiful a comic that would be.
I haven't seen it. No, all right.
Oh,
And by the way,
I know what you're
by me
talking
saying
about
no
those.
spoilers,
Yeah,
that means I
I
probably
can
won't
see
see it
it.
for 5 years. But
yeah. Well, like if you like imagining beautiful comics as a thing, like Queen's Gambit is one of just the. It's
really,
small. It's like a small. It would be a small comic, probably put out by like Fantagraphics or like Top Shelf. But like just the shots are just so comic. They're just so beautiful that like I had the same experience reading watching that show. Just like where would the shot be? Like where would I put this if like it was a comic book?
well, that's why like now like when Travis did the pinup for Wailing Blade, I am now like I will follow anything he does because he did one image that I saw that like I was like that's a dope angle, that's super dynamic, that's super cool. And Travis, did you color that as well?
Yeah, I colored it as well.
Right now I hate you even more. So now you're coloring it as well.
You sound like my wife.
Yeah. Dude, I'm trying to get my wife to take Soto's coloring class. So she can color stuff.
You really?
Yeah. She's a New York City Board of Ed special ed teacher. So she has the patience. She just needs to work on that coloring. But dude, I'm telling you, it like seeing that page you did was mind blowing. Like I generally loved it so much. And I was like,
I would pay money just to watch Soto color like on a live show.
Oh my god!
It's like I've seen him do it, and it's like a Bob Ross kind of thing. Like it's just calming, like it's almost like meditative. Like you just watch him, like just go through the lines and everything. It's amazing.
but that's why I like working with Soto so much because I like trying to like poke the bear and see if I can get him to finally flip out because he will flip out, but it takes time to do it. Like we were driving like a small show in Jersey like years ago, and we got pulled over by cops, and I'm like, I don't like the way this is fucking going. I think I should get out of this car and I should just let me tackle that cop. Let's see if we can go. Like, no, I'm like, let's just do something, dude. Let's not just sit here. I'm not gonna sit here. So you went a little fast on a bridge. He's allowed to pull you over. That's not right. And I think we could do that artistically as well. Like, be like, you know what? That color's not right. That's not, you know, that shading is a little bad. By the way, we're just going to turn this into how can we mentally break Soto, the podcast.
Well, no, I saw you would tease. Was it Happy Hill, right, Joe?
Yeah.
What he's working on. He kills. Well, all the samples I've seen, he kills it. And
I will send you.
Travis is a professional because I was just about to pull up the Happy Hill digital ash can, and he just segued me like a freaking boss.
Right here, all day.
And by the way,
just dishing dimes.
By the way, everybody, there's still time to back Wailing Blade to get your hardcover. Let's make sure to support these creators. Beautiful hardcovers. I love hardcovers myself. You know. Get softcover. Get a softcover too. Your mom needs it for Christmas. See?
God, you're so good.
And coming up next, we've got Mrs. Turtle. She's gonna like play some ukulele for you.
Now, Travis, let me ask you a question. Do you keep your studio that neat?
If I could show you the floor right now, you would not think it's neat.
No, I'm just trying to find reasons to hate you because I'm like, look at those books. If you went in my office right now, my home office, you would swear to God an insane person lives there. There's layouts all over the wall, duct tape. I use graph paper for everything, so it looks like that's all over the place. And you have picked the perfect angle for your camera right now.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I have stuff. I have reference books all over the floor. I have all kinds of pieces of paper and scraps and stuff. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Soto's the best. He's just
so Joe, we had shared a little digital teaser for Happy Hill, but you want to tell people what they're in store for? This will be coming out next year.
Yeah. So Happy Hill is a book I've had in my head for years, and just to dissuade everyone, like I've gotten a lot of messages.
Holy
People
shit.
like, "Oh, you're only
Whoa,
write."
you just moved past that way too quickly, Tyler.
Yeah.
Go back to that last page. What the is going on in this top right panel?
I mean, it's not comfortable. Crazy. It's a horror book, you know.
Yeah.
But I always I was not a huge horror fan growing up, but I always liked watching The Shining, right? And then I wondered, why did I like The Shining? I'm like, oh, because it, Stanley Kubrick and the camera angles and all that stuff. And I said, if I could like kind of meld two things, like Willy Wonka and The Shining together, so that you're going towards a vicious death, but you enjoy the trip, right? Like there's an old Irish saying that says, the ability to wish you to go to hell so that you look forward to the trip. And there's just something about that clicked a story in my head, and Happy Hill became the result of it. I've had it in my head for years, and whenever I had a few minutes, I would draw pages and I would draw images, and then talking with Tyler and relighting it and all this stuff, we kind of started, fast tracking it. And like, I drew like, it's the fastest I've ever drawn because I just see the visuals in my head so clearly.
And if you thought the Wailing Blade was ornate, you should see it like just like, yeah, it's going to be like an upstate New York woodland ranch, and like you're basically drawing every wood panel, every like the architecture on this thing.
Let me just say, Joe gives me a lot of shit over Road of Bones and Sea of Sorrows because Road of Bones took place in the tundra and it was a lot of white. Sea of Sorrows takes place underwater. There's a lot of like just straight black. He's like,
there's no background.
He's like, you didn't give Alex any backgrounds to draw. It's all white. It's all and he's like, you're making me draw these like insane cities and arenas and like all this stuff. And I felt bad about it until I saw Happy Hill, because you did that to yourself, my friend. It's like,
no, listen to me. I agree 100%. However, it's different when you like. I don't have another artist that I'm trying to torture. You literally gave Alex no backgrounds for 4 issues, and then you're like, he's so fast. He does everything. He colors. And by the way, that was a dead-on Rich.
Wow. Douek. By the way, I thought there were 2 Riches. I thought there was 2 Rich Doueks for a second in the stream.
He lives a Douek personality. That's what
like Two-Face.
Yeah. But you're right. And like, I don't know if you can pull it up, but like I literally there it is. I designed every part of the inside of this hotel to where the chandeliers are all deer antlers. They're like hanging. And I'm like, if I had told someone to draw this, it would never happen.
I think I stayed at this place in the Catskills when I was like 13.
Jeez. How long did that take you, Joe?
I was just going to say, it's nice to see that you hate yourself.
Yeah.
As an artist.
No, dude, it's the opposite. It's just that it's in my head and I got to get it out.
I mean, it's lovely. I mean, look, I know plenty of artists who just like yell at themselves all the time, and they're like, I hate the person who told me to draw this page. And I'm like, even if it's me, even though it's me, like it's a very complicated page to draw, but like it's beautiful. Like it's lovely to like watch all of the detail on every single page, and like every page seems more detailed than the last.
Yeah, Joe, I got a question. I usually just work all digital for my interiors. Are you? It looks like traditional. Are you doing anything digital and then doing inks, or is this all pencil and inks on a board?
I do like layouts digitally, just so I can like kind of futz around and move things around a little bit more, and like see if I kind of tilt a body or something, make it look a little bit more dynamic. But beyond that, I do it all traditional.
So is that how you get your perspective so spot on?
No, dude, you know what? I learned a trick like early on, and I worked with like Nelson Blake, who works I think it's AWA now, but he works for Marvel, and Steve Harris, who works for DC and Marvel. Like Brian
you actually had like the bullpen experience that every artist like dreamed of that was never actually real, but you had it, Joe, right? And
they would like teach me like these, just the beauty of graph paper. Like you use graph paper because graph paper will kind of give you a grid to kind of juggle everything. And then like once a Cintiq and like all that other and SketchUp came along, it kind of took it away. But my thing was I started using SketchUp, maybe a little bit in Scam, and I didn't like it because it felt like it got really stiff or static. And then I was like, I'd rather draw things and make it look more organic than have it look like, and I'm not insulting anybody. There are certain artists that you see that they do SketchUp for all their backgrounds. And you can see the figures kind of seem like they're on a separate plane of reality than the buildings. The buildings are all sharp corners and no texture, and then the humans are just full of texture and grit, and I don't like that. I like my favorite artists are like Art Adams, Todd McFarlane, Frank Quietly, which seems like a weird mixture, but they all have like fleshiness and touch to their artwork, and that's what I kind of want in my own.
Yeah, I see the Art Adams, especially the texture, in terms of
Well,
like it's
Travis, who are some of your influences?
I'm gonna say right now it would probably be like Phil Hester, Will Eisner, because I've been going back and looking at a bunch of different artists lately to kind of get some inspiration. Alex Toth.
Dude, that's killer because that's all storytelling. Like Phil Hester is, I mean, unspokenly one of the nicest human beings in the history of comics.
He's so nice. He's so nice. I gave him a book one time, and he's like, "I've got to give you this book back," and he gave me Mythic.
Oh yeah,
which is a lovely book and right up my alley. But yeah, totally lovely guy.
One of my favorite
Uncle Phil for a reason.
One of my favorite books that they actually reprinted it recently is The Wretch.
Oh, The Wretch is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's some panels he doesn't even need any dialogue in or anything, just because it's all storytelling. And that's what my thing is most like visual, just focus on the visual storytelling of it and if it makes sense or not, and trying cool compositions that help move the story along.
Yeah, but dude, I can see from that piece, like you have such a
Thank you.
You told a story all in one page. Like same thing for Matt. Matt is Matt, I think, is in the same vein as me, where you're like, you're not like you're cartoony. Like your style is cartoony, and I think especially in comics that tells the story way better than anything else can. You know what I mean?
It can project emotion, right? Through static image, right?
I want to feel like I think that's why the artists I like are the artists I like because I feel like have you ever? I mean, between all six of us, we've all read We Three, right?
Oh yeah.
When okay, and I'm sorry if you're watching this, you've never read We Three, but it is a
you should really be sorry that you have not read We Three because it is.
It's Frank
Shame.
Wiley. There is a scene in the beginning of that book where a man is running on a treadmill, and I'm definitely, as my style progresses, being more influenced by the manga I read because I draw speed lines in a toilet scene. I am like all about the speed line, right? But like when you watch Frank Quietly in his masterful way draw a guy running on a treadmill, it could be done a multitude of different ways. He does it so that the camera angle shows the bend in the treadmill and the foot above it. So your brain fills in what happened there. And I swear to God, I really believe when your brain is more involved in looking at the image, it likes the image more. If you just do it static and flat and don't do anything, I think your brain becomes bored with the image. When you have to react to the action that is being subliminally sent to you as happening, it engrosses you more in the image. And Travis, that's what yours does. And Matt, you're an old hat. You're too good at it.
Well, I was going to say on Travis's art, it was interesting to me when you said I didn't know if I wanted to put the words in there, and what that told me was like, I'm like that's the composition. That's literally your eye starts in the upper left and drags you all the way down. It like kicking and streaming drags you all the way down to that lower right hand corner, and you see exactly what happened in that story. So I just thought I don't know. I just chuckled when you're like, hey, I didn't know if I wanted to put those words in, but I was like that. That's what sold it for me, man. My eye just went boom to all the way down to boom, and I was like, oh, you can literally feel every footstep through that path.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it's like like I was saying, it's telling the story, and I like making sure I make sure I'm moving left to right and have focal points on there, like in a grid, in terms of a grid. So making you have to go do that kind of zigzag through the page, and it makes it fun. I think art, like especially for comics, should be entertaining. You know, especially for Wailing Blade, it's such a fun story. Getting to kind of play like just in a pinup, but kind of getting to play with these toys was pretty fun, just for a pinup.
Oh shit! You drew Arc World?
Yes, that is. It almost sounds like, oh, you drew that. Yeah,
no, it was great. Like I had no idea. I went to I saw your and I went to your Twitter account, and I was like,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, that book is fucking awesome. Sorry, I don't know. I tried not to curse this whole time, but I assumed it was okay. Being the subject matter of Wailing Blade, I thought it would probably be okay.
Yeah.
I think I've dropped the F-bomb like 6 times. It's okay.
Joe, I know you know, in terms of influences, you're very inspired by, was it Ramon's foot, or whose foot was it?
Whose foot?
I don't know. You keep telling me like somebody like made the comment that like it would have been better.
No. Okay, I know what you mean. So
okay.
I did want this on the cover of the trade. So someone, when the first issue of Wailing Blade came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't care about anyone's opinion. I have a happy life, a happy wife, good kids. My thing is good. So whatever goes on online, I just generally treat it more as entertainment. So someone sent me a message, or someone wrote a review. No, it was a review that said, I like the art, but I could see the Humberto Ramos influence in this artist. I wish the ComixTribe would have just paid Humberto Ramos to draw the book with his fucking foot, and this is what they said, rather than see this shitty ripoff art style or whatever it was. And I was hysterical laughing because I thought it was. I still think it's really funny.
I thought you would be like, "Oh my god, I'm as good as his foot."
I said, I'm like,
I mean, I would pay to watch it. I would be paid to read a book drawn by Humberto Ramos's foot. Like, I honestly would. Like, he's listening somehow right now. Like,
the books haven't been printed yet. Can you say that the artist is Humberto Ramos's foot? I don't want my name in there. I want Humberto Ramos's foot as the art credit. or HRF. I just go with an acronym. HRF.
Oh, I love it. I freaking love it.
I think it'd be good. So he wrote this, and I thought it was hysterical. And then I was like, do I reach out to the guy? Do I whatever? And I'm like, no, I don't care enough. Or the woman, I don't even know who wrote it. But I was like, oh, I love it. I love uncomfortability, and if people get angry by stuff, that's where I shine.
Well, you love that comment that somebody left on your YouTube or on the Facebook video. Joe was having vocal cord issues.
I'm still doing it right now.
May still have to get surgery at some point. And somebody left a comment saying, "Why does this guy sound like he's whispering in his mother's basement?" And we were just like, you know what? Nice one.
So like, fair enough.
You know, if you're that guy, contact us again. We'll send you a book.
Not too loud. You don't want to wake Joe's mom.
You're gonna have to be really loud, dude. You're gonna have to be really loud.
Well, all right, guys.
Boys, I gotta get out of here. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for making this book. Like, if you have not backed now, like, it is a true pleasure to read. Honestly, I don't get surprised very often in comics anymore because I'm an old, jaded, black-hearted fool. But, like, I was surprised consistently in this book. And thank you guys so much for making it. I look forward to seeing the final product.
Thanks for contributing.
Thank you, Russell.
Nice
meeting you, bud.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and so for everyone watching, you know, we've got 24 minutes to go, over 500 backers. If it holds, we'll see. Knock on wood. We're adding extra pages to the trade because we went above and beyond the $30,000 we needed to make this thing the way we wanted to make it. So we appreciate everybody for that. Congrats to those people tuning in. Thanks, JD. Thanks, Eric, Jay, Tim, David, Charles.
I got to give a shout out to JD because he's one of the first people that I met when we were starting to make comics. Super talented writer. You got to check out his stuff on Amazon and Kickstarter. He's got Hawk Hollow, Harvest Moon, Books of Jericho is just it's great.
JD's been crushing it lately.
Yeah.
Putting out a ton of stuff. Also want to give a shout out to Charles Harrell, a backer. He snagged up a ton of awesome Joe Mulvey art during this campaign, which really helped us give boosts sometimes when the new backers weren't coming in. Our existing backers upgrading their pledge really kept the momentum going.
Ty, can I interrupt for 1 second? I saw in the chat that someone said was it Tim Styles Tim?
Yeah.
Said that he pledged $1,000 to meet the creators of. Oh, there he is. Yeah. I pledged $1,000 to meet the creative team on a comic one time 10 years ago. They never finished the book, and I never met them. I want you to know that I want you to tell me who it was, and for zero charge, I'm going to find them. I'm going to be the bounty hunter Kickstarter. I'm going to be the dog bounty hunter of Kickstarter, and I'm going to go out and see what it is.
I wish it was me. I wish it was me so I could go, come on, Joe, I'm right here.
No, Travis, you and I are going to go out with Rich. We're going to bring the Wailing Blade. We're going to knock on a door, and we're going to scare the shit out of that person that did that. It's not right.
That's not right. That's not good kicks. That's not kosher.
If you think I'm joking, I am not.
I'm not going to mess with a wine-drunk Joe Mulvey.
I have nothing but bad intentions in my heart. But it's good. Travis, you're going to go out with me one night, you're going to have stories for 10 years. You're going to have the best night of your life.
And I don't even have to pay for it.
Don't worry about it.
Any final thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
I mean, are we really signing off? We got like 20 minutes left.
Yeah, but I got a couple things I need to do to close out the Kickstarter page before it goes.
All
right. It's all right.
Well, thanks, guys, for the opportunity to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. You know, all you guys are contributing. Thanks for everybody who backed it, spread the word about it. Like I said, you know, this book means a lot to all of us, I think, and we're just really, you know, thankful that have you guys help it make it a success.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna say this, Matt Zalman, you're an artist extraordinaire. I want to see more art. Travis, you're a beast. You're gonna be gigantic. Rich Douek, you are on the way to being a massive comics writer. I'm glad to bring you down in any way that I can, to drag down your star, however I could possibly hurt your career, your family life, anything I can do to really like ruin
your self-esteem.
Yeah, your self-esteem. It's horrible. Horrible. Tyler, I want you to know I'm going to bring down your entire publishing thing, everything. Even though my kids love you, I have none of that. But at the same time, you guys were all the best. I can't believe everyone did so much help to make Wailing Blade such a success. Thanks to everybody. And I would have stayed on the extra 20 minutes, but Tyler's the honcho.
Next door is the head honcho. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will look forward to delivering on everything that we've promised you in this campaign. Thank you so much for making it happen. All right, on behalf of everybody else that couldn't be here, thank you for taking the blade.
Thanks.